Hi everyone, this is Smita and I hope you all are doing good. Today's episode on voice message is going to be on types of businesses. So let's understand why are there different types of businesses. But before we begin, as a small business owner, let's understand how we stand here. Concepts of small businesses. Now, small businesses can also be called as self-employment, entrepreneurship, and startup. A self-employment is an organization created with primary intention to give a job to the founder, that is a sole proprietor. Entrepreneurship has an all-generation new organization set up where there could be businesses or there could be one business with multiple products. A startup is a temporary new organization created to be bigger with at least has employees. Small business is could be either solo or it could be someone with few employees, and the main intention is to have products and sales which are already popular in the market. So now, since we've understood there are different types in small businesses, there's entrepreneurship and startups, let's see what are the different types of businesses that we're going to see today. The legal definition of a small business varies by country and by industry. However, there are certain tickets that are similar. So I'm going to talk of all the common forms of businesses that we see around the world. So let's get ahead with this. First type today we're going to discuss is a sole proprietorship, also known as a sole trader. This is owned by one person and operates for their benefit. The owner operates the business alone and may hire employees. A sole proprietor has unlimited liability for all obligations incurred by the business, whether from operating costs or judgment against the business. All assets of the business belong to a sole proprietor, including, for example, a computer infrastructure, any inventory, any manufacturing costs, any retail, any IT, real property, or anything which is owned by the sole proprietor. So there is one single point of contact and one sole person who's either going to be of having profits or losses. So what's next after a sole proprietorship? Let's understand the next one, which is called as partnership. As the name suggests, a partnership is a business owned by two or more people. In most forms of partnerships, each partner has unlimited liability for the debts incurred by the business. The three most prevalent types for profit partnerships are general partnerships, limited partnerships, and the limited liability partnerships. We will see each of these categories in detail in my next episode. However, for today, this is what partnership, ownership of business is. The next one is the leader, the corporation. The owners of a corporation have limited liability and the business has a separate legal personality from its owners. This is completely different from what a partnership and a sole proprietorship is. Corporations can either be government owned or privately owned. We're talking of big businesses here, and they can organize either for profit or as a non-profit organization. A privately owned for-profit corporation is owned by its shareholders who elect a board of directors to direct the corporation and hire its managerial staff. A privately owned for-profit corporation can either be privately held by a small group of individuals or publicly held with publicly traded shares listed on a stock exchange. Now there's so much of talking, we've just seen three parts. Let's see what do we have more on this. A more interested part is the limited liability company, LLC. A LLC is a hybrid legal entity having certain characteristics of both corporation and a partnership or a sole proprietorship. Now you must say, wow, this is a mix. Yes, absolutely it is, depending on how many owners there are. And an LLC is a type of uni-incorporated association distinct from a corporation. It is completely different from the corporation that we have just discussed some time back. The primary characteristic an LLC shares with the corporation is limited liability. Now this is one point. And the primary characteristic it shares with a partnership is the availability of pass-through income taxation. Now we're going to talk of how income taxation and limited liability parameters fall on LLC on a separate episode. Today, we need to understand as a business entity, an LCC is often more flexible than a corporation and may be well suited for companies with a single owner. However, there is a possibility that since we are talking of it shares a primary characteristic as a partnership, there could be two owners also. So let's see more about this in my next episode. Let's understand what do we have more for you today. Now, looking at different forms of business ownership, these four are not the only types that we have. We have something called as cooperatives, we have a company limited by guarantee, a system called as franchise, a company limited by shares. So definitely there are more rooms for a business ownership program. There would be companies with a share capital, or again, there would be companies where they could have patents or charter corporations. There are n number of possibilities. So it's not possible for me to cover this in one episode. However, we will be doing in detail description of how a sole proprietorship, partnership, your corporation, and a limited liability companies work in today's world. So I hope you love this episode. Do follow me on Instagram, and if you have any suggestions, do comment me on the handle. I've given you a link where you can share your comments and views about this episode. If you want me to do something more, definitely do write it to me. And this is Smita signing off. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Everyone, have a good time. Bye-bye.